The nervous system is divided into two parts, the central nervous system, which is composed of the brain and spinal cord. Using the words big system to remember B as brain and S as a spinal cord. And the peripheral nervous system, which includes neurons located outside the brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is subdivided into the efferent and afferent divisions. The efferent neurons carry signals away from the brain and spinal cord to the muscles or glands. Remember word exit for efferent as signals exit central nervous system, and the afferent neurons bring signals from the receptors to the central nervous system. Remember word arrivals for afferent since signals arrives in the central nervous system. In addition, the efferent division is again subdivided into the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system supplies motor impulses to the skeletal muscles. Because these nerves permit conscious control of the skeletal muscles, it is sometimes called the voluntary nervous system. The autonomic nervous system, on other hand, supplies motor impulses to cardiac muscle, to smooth muscle, and to glandular epithelium. The autonomic nervous system is the major involuntary portion of the nervous system, and is responsible for automatic, unconscious bodily functions such as control of heart rate and blood pressure. That's why it is called the involuntary nervous system. It is further subdivided into sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. Sympathetic is the part of the autonomic nervous system that originates in the thoracic and lumbar parts of the spinal cord, while in parasympathetic it is the part of the autonomic nervous system that originates in the cranial nerves and sacral. Sympathetic triggers the fight or flight response, providing the body with a burst of energy so that it can respond to perceived dangers or stress situation. In situations like emergency, exercise, embarrassment and excitement, they are known as sympathetic since they increase heart rate. And in the parasympathetic nervous system it is referred to as the rest and digest system, as it functions to conserve the body's natural activity and relaxes the individual once an emergency has passed. Situations like digestion, diuresis and defecation are referred as parasympathetic. How does communication between nerve cells and between nerve cells and effector organs occur? That communication between nerve cells and between nerve cells and effector organs occurs through the release of specific chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the molecules used by the nervous system to transmit messages between neurons, or from neurons to muscles. They are often referred to as the body's chemical messengers. Acetylcholine and norepinephrine are the primary neurotransmitters in the autonomic nervous system. At what time neurotransmitters are released? The release is triggered by arrival of the action potential at the nerve ending, leading to depolarization. An increase in intracellular calcium ions initiates fusion of synaptic vesicles with the presynaptic membrane and release their contents. The neurotransmitters rapidly diffuse across the synaptic cleft between neurons and combine with specific receptors on the postsynaptic target. All neurotransmitters are too hydrophilic to penetrate the lipid bilayers of target cell plasma membranes. Instead, their signal is mediated by binding to specific receptors on the cell surface of target organs. A receptor is defined as a recognition site for a substance which has a binding specificity and is coupled to processes that eventually evoke a response. Autonomic nerve fibers are any of the presynaptic and postsynaptic nerve fibers that collectively make up the sympathetic and parasympathetic parts of the autonomic division of the peripheral nervous system. The autonomic nerve fibers can be divided into two groups based on the type of neurotransmitters released. The first one is a cholinergic, which is a nerve-ending fiber that releases acetylcholine and also a synapse in which the primary transmitter is acetylcholine, and the other one is adrenergic, a nerve-ending fiber that releases norepinephrine as the primary transmitter and a synapse in which norepinephrine is the primary transmitter. Acetylcholine mediates the transmission of nerve impulses across autonomic ganglia in both the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. In the sympathetic system, norepinephrine mediates the transmission of nerve impulses from autonomic postganglionic nerves to effector organs. Although there are some sympathetic postganglionic fibers release acetylcholine rather than norepinephrine, such as postganglionic nerves to sweat glands. Now let us see the effects of sympathetic and parasympathetic in our bodies. In our eyes, stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system, known for triggering fight or flight responses when the body is under stress, induces pupil dilation, which allows more light to enter your eyes so that you can see your surroundings better. Your eyes do this so you can be more observant of the threat causing the reaction. Meanwhile, stimulation of the parasympathetic system, known for rest and digest functions, causes constriction. The deeper the sleep, the more the pupil constricts. This might provide a protective function by blocking visual input during deep sleep. And the second effect is on salivation. In sympathetic, as we go into our high physical performance state, our salivary glands are shut down, as all available resources are mobilized to create action. While in parasympathetic, the chewing of food will trigger saliva production. And the next one is on airways. In sympathetic, the airway muscles relax, resulting in narrowing or closing of airway as you breathe in. You can't get enough air, which can lower the oxygen level in your blood. The fight or flight reaction makes our breathing shallow and rapid to increase oxygen, making our bodies ready for action. In parasympathetic, constriction of airways occurs due to contraction of bronchial smooth muscle in response to parasympathetic stimulation, resulting in expansion of airways. In sympathetic, sympathetic stimulates fast heartbeat. Your heart beats faster to bring oxygen to your major muscles in fight or flight state, while in parasympathetic, heart beats slow down as you are in resting state. Sympathetic inhibits digestion during a fight or flight situation. When the stress response is activated, digestion is suppressed so the body can reroute its resources to trigger fight or flight. The sympathetic central nervous system shuts down digestion by slowing contractions of digestive muscles and decreasing secretions for digestion. In parasympathetic, the parasympathetic nervous system decreases respiration and heart rate and increases digestion process. And on glucose, sympathetic stimulates glucose release from the liver. When stressed, the body prepares itself by ensuring that enough sugar or energy is readily available. Insulin levels fall, glucagon and epinephrine levels rise, and more glucose is released from the liver. In parasympathetic, there is stimulation of glucose uptake since it inhibits the gluconeogenic pathway in the liver, which may contribute to lower blood glucose levels. Also, sympathetic stimulation inhibits gallbladder, and in parasympathetic, its stimulation produces contraction of the gallbladder and the secretion of bile. In intestine activity, sympathetic stimulation leads to the inhibition of intestine activity in order for the body to redirect its resources to trigger fight or flight. Meanwhile, in parasympathetic, it stimulates intestine activity since parasympathetic nervous system controls our rest and digest mode. In this state, energy is conserved, heart rate slows down, blood flows to the digestive tract and intestinal activity increases. And in kidney, sympathetic stimulation stimulates adrenal medulla, the inner part of an adrenal gland, to release hormones that initiate the flight or fight response. The main hormones secreted by the adrenal medulla include epinephrine and norepinephrine. Sympathetic stimulates relaxation of urinary bladder. When we're under stress, our fight or flight response tends to kick in. This triggers a release of hormones, which disrupt the usual hormones which keep the bladder relaxed, causing it to contract. This results in decreased urine outflow. In parasympathetic, when the bladder is full, afferent activity conveying this information centrally increases parasympathetic tone and decreases sympathetic activity, causing the internal sphincter muscle to relax and the bladder to contract, resulting in stimulation of increased urine outflow. In penis and vagina, stimulation of the sympathetic nerves and hormonal imbalance caused by stress create an urge to ejaculate in male and relaxation of uterus. In parasympathetic, there is stimulation of erection since it is the result of a high parasympathetic and low sympathetic effect, resulting in the relaxation of the smooth muscle cells. Memorize the word sympathetic to remember activities of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. S stands for salivation, Y stands for Y in airways, M stands for M in stomach, P stands for pupil, A stands for activity of intestine, T stands for T in heartbeat, E stands for E in bladder, I stands for I in kidney. And the last one is C, which stands for C in secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine, although this one applies in sympathetic only. In addition, you need to know this key point: most of the actions of sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are opposite. To remember major actions, we can assume that sympathy is related to heart, so sympathetic system stimulates it, and therefore actions like tachycardia and positive inotropic actions are related to sympathetic. In parasympathetic system, it has opposite actions, so it depress heart. At most other parts actions is reversed, that is sympathetic inhibits and parasympathetic system stimulates. For more videos, please consider subscribing the channel and hit a like button, without forgetting to turn on notifications for more videos. I hope you find this video useful. Thanks for watching.